Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I am so happy you're with us today. The noted, wonderful afterlife expert Sandra Champlain is one of my very, very dearest friends. She works closely with George Norrie in his popular Coast to Coast program, and she does a terrific weekend program that includes powerful mediumship demonstrations, counseling, help for the bereaved, prayer, song, and afterlife education, and so much spiritual beauty and just plain joy. And a central part of what our lovely Sandra brings to the world during her wonderful weekend events is our terrific guests today. Kerry McLeod and Philip Dykes are two very successful and highly accomplished British mediums. They're here to educate us about evidentiary mediumship, which is a whole new world which you may never have experienced, but you just, you got to have it. You got to see it. You got to believe in it because it's real. Now, Kerry McLeod is an especially brilliant evidential medium. She's also a transformational coach, a spiritual educator, someone whose work is grounded in emotional intelligence, psychological insight, and a profound dedication to healing. Long before appearing in the documentary film, which we're going to talk about today, called Evidence of the Afterlife, Kerry spent more than 2 decades serving in leadership roles across the UK, and that's where they are today. That's the beauty. The beauty of the world we live in now, isn't it? It's just one big living room, which I just love that fact. Academically, Kerry holds a Master of Science degree in counseling and psychotherapy from the University of Edinburgh, professional diplomas in executive coaching and transformational coaching as well. So in 2015, Kerry left her corporate career to establish a successful coaching and consultancy practice, working with organizations such as the NHS and leading financial and architectural firms. She's very accomplished. But although her business was thriving, Kerry felt increasingly drawn to the spirit world. So what began as a quiet inner nudge soon became unmistakable. This work, mediumship, was not simply something she could do. She knew she could do it well, but it became her true calling. Today, Kerry is recognized internationally as a master mentor and master coach. She integrates coaching, psychology, spiritual philosophy, and evidential mediumship into a unique teaching method that helps students to develop not only their abilities, but themselves overall. And as a featured medium in the film Evidence of the Afterlife, Kerry brings a presence that is both grounded and passionate. Her work is a presence that demonstrates to everyone around her that mediumship offers not only evidence of continued life, but profound healing for both the living and the departed. And Sandra vouches for her 100%. She says, Kerry is powerful. And frankly, Kerry's partner is similarly acclaimed. Philip Dykes is an internationally respected evidential medium, spiritual teacher, and transformational coach, known for his disciplined, ethical, and emotionally resonant approach to mediumship. Long before he appeared in Evidence of the Afterlife, Philip spent 29 years working in the private sector. He began in landscape gardening and later advanced to management. And his career demanded patience, interpersonal skill, leadership, and a quiet dedication to service. And they were qualities that he would carry on to his spiritual vocation. But just like Kerry, he began to feel called to the spirit world. What followed was a complete shift in direction for him, too. He stepped away from traditional employment and he committed to evidential mediumship as his life's work as well. His dedication to structure, integrity, and spiritual discipline quickly earned him respect as a tutor, and he demonstrated both in the UK and internationally what he was able to do as a medium. His teaching is informed not only by spiritual experience, but by professional training. He's a master mentor and a master coach. enabling him to bring clarity, accountability, and high professional standards into spiritual education. As a featured medium in the documentary Evidence of the Afterlife, Philip delivers compelling demonstrations of the continuation of consciousness, illustrated through first-hand evidence that love and life don't end. They do not end with physical death. Phil's work continues to inspire thousands around the world. With compassion and clarity, he helps students and audiences alike to understand that mediumship is not simply communication, but really, as he says, it's transformation. And, and wow, these are wonderful guests that we have today. Sandra sent them, and Sandra only sends her very best. Welcome, Phil, and welcome, Kerry. I'm so excited to have you with us today.
So are we. We barely recognized ourselves, Roberta.
Absolutely. It's a long time since we've heard an introduction like that, but it's all true. But I'm much more.
I love it. I said to Sandra, are these real people you're sending? And she said, it is all true.
Yes.
Well, I am delighted to have you with us today and mindful of the fact that your time is precious. I'd like, I mean, this sounds like a wonderful documentary. I'd like you to tell us a little about it, but most of all, help us to understand what is evidential mediumship.
Evidential mediumship has been part of our lives for, well, you've said it all in your introduction, but it's misunderstood and it can be misinterpreted at times. So when we are working with the spirit world, we're giving evidence of the person in the spirit world. More and more people are beginning to question what happens after we die. Do we just cease to exist? Are
Yes.
we, as our consciousness somewhere? Do we exist in a place that's unseen? And evidential mediumship has a way of corroborating that there is something, and it plants a seed of the person coming for a reading to ask, how would the medium know that? How would they know about something only me and my mum or me and my dad would know about? So we like to separate out the psychic, which is no second relation to mediumship. It is a profoundly important aspect of this work, but it deals with people's lives here. Mediumship is about proving that the intelligence and the personality and characteristics of the people that have passed still exist. We call that the spirit world. And it plants the seeds for people to be able to explore life after death, understand the spirit world more, and maybe even begin to develop their own spiritual journey. So it is more about people who are no longer walking this planet, and that can only be proven by evidence of that person, not evidence of the sitter, of the person coming for the reading.
Correct. And even though they are not living on this earth, as we so call it, and let's lose some of the terminology of spirit world, they're continuing to live in a different form. And to prove that, we need evidence, hard evidence, facts that only you and that person knew. That's what brings evidential mediumship alive and creates a reality to know that the afterlife, the spirit world, heaven is very much real. And when we get that credible evidence, and that credible evidence can come in many different forms, such as the full name, their address, their locations, their jobs, the real intimate and personal facts that are not shared anywhere. And once we start to incorporate that and start to talk in a very logical and rational way, then we can bring in memories that evoke other memories, and it's very inspiring. But we have to establish those facts first, and it should be the medium doing all the talking,
Yeah.
not the recipient feeding the medium, but
Yeah.
actually only answering the medium with a yes or a no or I don't know. There's been many readings where I've been quite direct with people and told them to be quiet, and that is polite. Let me do the work. And
Yeah,
at that point, we give those that credible evidence that they know that this is real. And you can sit back and you can really be inspired by what your loved one comes forward to say,
right.
not just about them, because we have to have that. We have to have that. Otherwise, what we say after that can be taken with a pinch of salt. What we do ask people is to have a skeptical mind. We invite it for a very good reason, because then logic and reality are always present, and we don't go with the strange or the supernatural or the instances where they say what your mum's telling me with very little information. That's not credible.
Mm,
We need
right.
that credible evidence that leaves no doubt, not one or two bits, but the big majority of the readings should be always backed up with evidence.
And there's something special happens when the communicator comes in with evidence of who they are and where, and
Mm,
then, as Phil's mentioned there, a memory where they used to go on holiday or how they were in life. And in that moment, the sitter, the recipient coming for the reading, and the communicator are in the same memory at the same time. And it has a power to it that can touch the heart and soul. And that's where it can be a really cathartic experience that heals both sides of life. So people will say, well, why do they mention memories?
To prove themselves.
How often would we love to have the same memory and be thinking the same thing as our loved ones in the spirit world? A medium can bring that. It's an incredible moment.
And if we
yes.
touch on that a little bit further, Roberta, what happens is in that moment, because if we're physically living, we can reach out, we can love, we can hug, we can give somebody that kiss and show our expression. In that moment Kerry's talking about, that's the closest they can get when both the person in spirit and the person in front of you is in that joint moment together. It feels like you're being held, it feels like you're being touched at such a deep level. It brings this healing quality within your life force, within your energy, and it lifts you, it inspires you. And I think today mediums lose that actual understanding that we're here to inspire people, to
Yeah,
make a difference in people's lives through that evidence.
yes, absolutely. One little quirky fact about someone that nobody else really knows. Hearing one little quirky fact is is so life transforming. I mean, I'm so skeptical mainly because I have tested so many mediums, and the more you test them, the more you decide, they're all charlatans. So that's how I was for a long time. And then one medium absolutely blew my mind, and she did it with eyebrows. My mother had almost no eyebrows. She was so embarrassed about her eyebrows that she painted eyebrows on. She literally painted these great big eyebrows on. Nobody knew that. Even looking at a picture of my mother, that's not the first thing you'd notice. And so after my mother died, and I was consulting a medium one day, a new medium, highly recommended. I Okay, she was saying, I think I have your mother here, and a little proud. And then she said, why does she keep pointing at her eyebrow? And I perked immediately. And then she said, oh, she said she doesn't have to paint them on anymore. Bingo!
Yes.
Nobody else would have known that. And that was it. I absolutely believed in that medium, and suddenly I believed in mediums, plural,
Mm.
because nobody else would have gotten that.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's a type of evidence that's so personal. We get asked a lot, why do the most random things come in as
Yeah,
evidence? Why don't we always get names and dates and streets and occupations? Well, the spirit world are intelligent enough to know what kind of evidence is going to blow their loved one's mind and
Yeah, that blew my
prove
mind.
beyond doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, you even can, if the medium wanted to do it badly enough, they could look up a lot of names, dates, and so on, and give you those. And then you could say, oh, wow, goodness gracious, that's amazing. But nobody would look up eyebrows.
No, no. We teach a lot, and we hear a lot of new students that come to us that say that they're reading books of baby names and different names and this, that, and the other. And our question back to them is, why are you doing that? Because names are very much a social standing in society of certain time periods. When we get into the apples and pixabels, it might be slightly different, but it's the unique memories, the eyebrows. I remember a contact with somebody that used to keep chewing gum inside the denture to keep it stuck in place because it kept on working loose. It's these unusual things. And another lady used to
Yes.
take her teeth out and bake and do the edges of the pies with the teeth. All these unusual facts. This is what comes through, and then you know that it's real. It absolutely is real, because I've sat and had a reading with somebody, and they were wearing glasses, and I could see a blue background with an F in it. And I thought, they're on Facebook trying to research me. And that's wrong. But if we're truly a medium and in connection with the spirit world, we will get these facts that are just undeniable, that are so left field that sometimes we think, really, am I going to say this? And only to find out that they're true.
And this is the reason why when people say, what is good evidence? It's whatever evidence makes it so for the sitter. The loved one here is the one that can tell the medium what is good evidence or not. There are
Yeah.
so many generations with Georges and Marys and Henry and
Yeah.
Jake that in itself, that name might not mean a lot, because there's bound to be, everybody knows a John or a James in the spirit world in some shape or another. But to then say that John is uncle and he smoked a pipe and you have that pipe and it has an onyx end to it, that is fairly specific enough. And it's
Yeah.
the communicator that chooses what kind of evidence, because they know what their loved one here is needing to hear and what purpose the evidence needs to have.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course, of course. So you teach mediumship then to
Yes.
don't you
We
find that people need to be naturally gifted in it?
People have to, and this is where there's a big mistake made in the understanding of mediumship. Yes, there should be a natural ability. That natural ability comes in different forms. This is where mediumship becomes very unique. There is so many different types of mediums out there. We can give them the title of evidential medium, but actually the evidence they bring out is so individual and unique to their mindset. So that's when we talk about natural mediumship, their mind, how they perceive life, how they interact in life, what they see when they walk in a room, and what they take notice of. That individuality should be there. And that's something we promote. Yes, we teach the formal training. Yes, we teach the exercises, but we're one of the biggest promoters of individuality out there. We do classes, we do one-on-one with people, training them, and we make it bespoke to them, because we need to do our job properly. We really need to understand their mindset, how they perceive things, and we learn so much from them as well, how they perceive, how they understand, and we take that into our own learning and think that's different. And there's many mediums I've watched and think that's absolutely marvelous, and I'd love to get a contact like that. And where my mind would go with it, the mind blows then to that understanding, because our consciousness is only limited by the thoughts or facts we have. The more that we can open, the more possibilities of different things coming
I
through.
think when we talk about the phrase medium, people automatically think about evidential medium connecting with the spirit world. But actually, medium, there are so many people that can write beautiful poetry, paint fabulous art, sing beautiful songs, or play an instrument in such a way that it is a true gift. If they can use that spiritual ability and express it in that way, we're firm believers that the spirit world is in some way having its expression. So we try not to get too hung up on medium as in mediumship, as in talking to the deceased.
Yeah.
Mediumship has all forms that it comes in. It's about having that natural ability, but also having the determination, the commitment, and the dedication to develop it. Somebody doesn't grow up thinking, I'm going to be a #1 Olympic athlete. They find that interests them and then they train and train and train and train until they become the
They
best.
have a natural ability, don't they?
Mediumship is the same. Everybody has the right to be able to communicate with the spirit world and communicate psychically with other people that are walking this earth. But not every medium will train and train over and over and practice to become the proficient medium. That's when, even if they are proficient, they still have to decide whether they want to take up the gauntlet and work for the spirit world. And no, Phil and I have said yes.
Yes, there are different levels of mediums, though, as well. I've got to be honest. There are people with extraordinary abilities for a specific job of bringing people into mediumship. Then there's mediums that work within mediumship, and they do a fantastic job as well. We've got to understand that there's different levels of ability. We're not saying one is better than the other. In layman's terms, yes, but they're for different reasons. What do you call a doctor? Sandra uses this. What do you call a doctor that passes his exam
In last place.
in last place? Doctor. So you can see there's different levels, there's different understandings, there's different skills,
Yeah.
there's different knowledge. Same with mediumship. And one of the passions we would love to see is regulations brought into it, and people fit into certain calibers. Doesn't mean they're better, it just means that they have a unique ability and are able to receive that stronger evidence in some ways.
But to your point, as I think about this, I recall probably 30 or more years ago, when I was ex just trying to explore and experiment, I took a course for a weekend in mediumship because I was just curious. That was when I was really trying to figure stuff out. And I was very surprised that I had some ability.
Mhm.
Some of the exercises that they were putting us through, I was actually able to pick up stuff that
Mhm.
I was not as dumb as a post as I would have assumed.
If we
You're
look
actually
at,
seeing things that now,
yes,
or after 30 years, it's coming back into my mind. You're right, actually.
mhm, there are so many ways that mediumship can come about. And when mediums go and have that experience, they realize that they have to slow the world down a bit. We live in a really, really fast world. Even
Oh,
going
yeah.
back a couple of decades, you had to handwrite a letter, then you had to put it in an envelope, lick a stamp, send it, and then it's had to be
Delivered and back.
delivered and answered and sent back. It took weeks. And now, if we haven't heard from an email within 2 hours, we get a bit
Oh, yeah.
impatient.
What's wrong with him?
Yes.
So, in those
Well, call the
generations
cops.
going
Have them
back,
check on him, make sure he's okay. Yeah, exactly right.
in those generations going back, they had the time to sit and ponder and think and blend with their own intuition, and probably were communicating with the spirit world without really knowing that it was anything special. Now we have to quieten our minds and find a special place within ourselves to be able to communicate with the spirit world. It's just the world's got faster and we don't take time to pay attention.
Correct.
And we don't recognize what might be going on. I mean, there might be a minute feeling or sound that we just don't recognize that.
Mhm.
We don't. Oh, I'm sort of hearing the name Archibald. That's a strange name. I don't really. It's not Archie though. It's I mean, people. And he didn't use quite the right name, so it's probably not right. Kind of, we expect it to be perfect.
We do, we
And it's
do.
my first weekend of trying this, because I never went back to it. It was just a as I think about it now, I mean, it was so long ago, and it was just a very interesting weekend. I was surprised that there was anything happening at
Mm.
all.
Uh,
But there were other people there who went, "Oh my God, I could be a medium. I'm going to do this with this guy some more."
Mhm. I think there is something in there when people are having experiences, and probably you had some experiences that then prompted your mind to think about training. This is where a lot of people that come to the early classes, the classes about awareness and appreciating that that ability is there, they're having experiences, they're seeing things, they're hearing things, their imagination is running riot, so they think, but actually it's their spirituality awakening. And
Mhm.
then once they start channeling that awareness into learning about psychicism and mediumship, the other parts diminish because they're actually focusing that ability in one direction. It's lovely to see that ability unfold.
It is. And you hit something on the nail, right on the head there, Roberta, where you said people expect it to be perfect straight off the bat. That is impossible. Yes, there will be facts that you hit and facts that you miss, but the logical, rational mind will kick in and say, no, it can't possibly be that easy. No, it will never be that. Oh, that's so vague, so general, generic, that it can never be that. I have to get something better. And that's one of the biggest things that gets in the way. We're talking about a natural ability that's been with you all your life. Simple exercise. When you meet somebody, you instantly know if you like them or dislike them. You're not judging. There's just something about that's your soul working. And we can take that and evolve it. So when we sit in these weekend workshops or week-long workshops that we like to do better because it's more intense and very much in depth, what we're doing is nurturing that young ability, that natural ability, but also we're coaxing the mind in the background to accept it because the spirit world press on the subconscious. Because we all daydream, we'll all accept that. We can all have that moment where we stare out of the window and we lose an hour of time. It's one of my specialities. Actually, I used to, that's what
Not
I'm
joking.
not joking. That's what used to be said to me at school. Um, but actually, the more that we move the mind into that reality, what happens is that we start to perceive more. So we've got to start at the early doors, the general, the generic, and we've got to understand it to move it forward to get the deeper detail that brings the specifics. So if we can move this idea of being perfect and just getting everything as A, B, and C out of the way in the beginning, it actually helps us unfold these abilities and to get to the golden nuggets that are behind it and understanding it. So as we progress, and I've heard all kinds of things about weekend courses where they're giving certificates, you now can be a medium, where for me, it's a lifelong dedication. We're always going to be learning. Some of the best mediums quoted in history stated that they're always permanently learning and receiving. And evidence only comes for the need that the person has in front of them. And if we look, and this is the intelligence of evidential mediumship, if somebody's coming for a reading and they're going through, say, a divorce, and let's say somebody in the spirit world's gone through that, then they're going to give evidence about that divorce that they went through because it resonates with the person in front. And as we progress through that reading, we get the empathy, we have the compassion to understand that's what they're going through. So there's a healing, but also we look at this properly. It shows that the spirit world knows what's going on in our lives, that they're
Very
not
much
in
so.
a distant place, they're still able to see us. So if father comes through talking about his job, we know that there's a issue around job with that person. This is the intelligence behind it. This is why we need evidence in evidential mediumship. Plain and simple fact.
Yeah. No, it's quite amazing how much they really do know about what's going on in our lives. They're right there, very much so. So all right, let's talk about evidence of the afterlife, this film. How did it come about and what is it all about?
It was an idea of Robert Lyon, the producers. He attended a workshop with us and was raving. He had those experiences like you've just talked about. Wow, this is incredible. I've always believed, but now I'm able to do something. And he said, and we thought it was a joke, I'd like to make a film about you guys and about mediumship. And as us Brits do, pinch of salt, isn't that's never going to happen. And actually it unfolded from there.
We actually met Robert through Sandra.
Yes.
Sandra Champlain was doing a conference. We met Sandra down in the Banyan retreat, which is where she was there and Phil was there working and I was working in the background. I think I had a lot of office work to do
You
that
did, you
weekend.
did.
And we met Sandra there and she says, I need the two of you in the States at one of the spiritual conferences. This was in October, the end of October. She said, I think we're going to organise it for February. And we thought, never. She did. That's why she gained the name Miss Velocity. And at that at that conference, Robert was there filming Sandra for her new book that she had written. And then Robert sat in on some of the group work and he said he wanted to make the film. The pandemic came, so we again thought, this maybe just isn't meant to happen. And he got back in contact with us beginning of 2023 and said, right, let's do this. And he spent 2 years following us around the globe, filming the movie. And one thing we stipulated to him was it cannot be a Phil and Kerry film. It has to be for the purposes of explaining what mediumship is, what mediumship isn't, and the ethics of it. If you're willing to use us in order to share that message,
Yeah,
then we're all for it.
Yeah.
But we didn't want it to be on anything other than
just
the
for
spirit world.
you, that didn't make sense. Yes.
It didn't. We stipulated we didn't want to be the center of attention. It couldn't be about us. In fact, we refused at one point and said no to him.
We've been asked by a number of people to do documentaries or interviews, and it just doesn't feel right, their intention.
And the only way we said yes to him is if he said that the spirit world is the highlight of this, and he's done a wonderful job. But I have to give him credit. He's told our story as well in there, that the ups, the downs, the grief that we went through, the loss of parents while making it. And he caught some very emotional scenes from us both, sharing that, because mediums are not what's the word? They're not exempt from grief. They go through the same thing, and it helps the ability actually, because you get an understanding of the morality of life and the compassion and having compassion for others and understanding what loss can do. So he's caught that story in there as well as the mediumship. And we said to him, we don't want to film about evidence all the time. It has to be true. It has to be the raw deal of mediumship. What happens in a private reading? What happens in demonstrations? How it's perceived? And I've got to take my hat off to him. He has done an incredible job.
All the feedback we've had is people seem surprised as they say, it's really professionally done. Well, he's a movie maker.
He is. He's seven Emmy Awards.
He's won 7 Emmy Awards
Oh,
for his work.
Yes.
So he
Oh,
is an
wow.
absolute professional. He doesn't like being in front of the camera, but he is a whiz behind the camera.
And evidence of the afterlife. I mean, that's not, I don't see, Phil and Kerry anywhere. That's
No. In fact, the subtitle is Saving Evidential Mediumship. The
Yeah.
reason that's a subtitle is over the years we have seen partly trained mediums then begin to teach, and
Yeah.
they're partly training, and then they're partly training. And so over decades, mediumship can and has in some instances become diluted.
Mm.
So we thought, if we can raise awareness so that the public know what to expect in a private reading, then that's going to be as valuable as setting the
Okay.
standard for good
Yeah,
evidential
that's a good
Yeah,
mediumship.
because we don't want mediumship to be a spectacle anymore. We don't want it to be a source of entertainment. We want it to be true. We want the passion of a connection, a loved one to have their chance to share their words in the way that they want it to be delivered without any show or anything else. The medium isn't the one in the spotlight. It should be the loved one that's in the spotlight with
Yeah.
their words, with their
Oh,
evidence. And
yes.
you can see that on the film that he's put together.
Because one day, everybody watching and listening to this will be in the spirit world.
Yes.
And you know what? We're all going to want good mediums to
Mediums.
work for us.
Yes. No, that's very true. No, but what's wonderful about it then is that it makes people who see it see mediumship and looking to mediums for evidence of that their own lives will go on, everyone's life goes on. It's just a natural part of life. And
Mm.
Yes.
that's a good, wonderful thing for a film to do. I just love it. That's very positive. Terrific. So this is something that where how will people be able to watch this?
They'll be able to watch it on Apple TV. Apple were the first one to pick it up. So I know there's others interested in, and it's going through that procedure, but Apple have got out there in front. So they've, if you go on to Apple, you can, don't repeat this, but you can go on for a free 7-day trial and
Watch the film.
watch the film, then let it go. But the film will cost you about $4 to rent. We don't see a penny of that. That all goes to Apple, obviously. But yeah, it's there. And we'd like people, as part of our mission, what we want to do, not just as mediums, we want people to understand what mediumship is. We want people to not be frightened to walk in a church, but to actually see it on the TV, then start to maybe attend a place where there's a medium or look into it that little bit more. Because mediumship is not just about healing and proving the spirit world, it's about inspiring people to live the fullest life.
And
Yeah,
as the film was being filmed, if that makes sense,
Mhm.
there was so much happened in the background. My mum passed, Phil's dad passed. There were happy, funny moments. There were extremely difficult moments. So we've put that and a bit of our background and a little bit of teaching into a book which will be out with the same name very soon. So
so they
because we
can
want
look
to,
for the book as well. Yeah,
Yes.
yes,
wonderful.
we want to teach, we want to share, we want people to understand what mediumship is. So there'll be at least a third of the book, or there is a third of the book
About
that is all about mediumship and the journey of the medium and how lonely it can get, but how gratitude
and the
can bless
challenges.
everybody. Yeah, the challenges as well.
Yes.
Well, I think that what you're doing is just wonderful. And Sandra Champlain, just Google her name and you'll find her all the work she's doing, which is just fabulous. And her Sunday events are just beautiful.
Mhm.
There's no charge. I mean, you can do a little in the tip jar if you'd like,
Mhm.
if it moves you. But the two of you are often part of her Sunday
We
gatherings.
we are. We've been on the. We supported Sandra for 4 years. We were the mediums for 4 years every Sunday, and then we said to Sandra, "We're a little bit tired now. We need a little bit of a break." So we've started to introduce one or two other mediums on there, and a couple of others have come on as well. So it's about sharing the ability and letting people see the different styles of mediumship and
Right.
understandings of things. But it's all evidential
And
mediumship.
the Sunday gathering, if people are interested, they can go to wedon'tdie.com and it's on there. It's at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. In fact, this Sunday we have one of our students on there, Tim Southwell. He's one of our, should say, mediums who are being taught, but also one of the teachers we're teaching as well. So he's a teacher of the future, but he's demonstrating and doing the talk and everything this Sunday gathering.
Mhm.
So, but there's all, I mean, I don't ever get to go because I have some conflicts, but I very occasionally manage to go and be part of it. But I always read her
Mhm.
emails announcing what's going to happen, and they always look so good.
Mm.
She has something for people who are bereaved. She has something for for people who, I can't bear church anymore, but I just want, I want some joy in my
Mhm.
Sunday. People can go and just be part of it
Mhm.
and just, enjoy the medium, enjoy the singing, whatever is going on. They just can be part of these beautiful gatherings that people
And we
can.
know that there are members of the public listening that are very similar to yourself, Roberta. So, what we know is that Sandra has all of the Sunday gatherings on her YouTube channel. So, if anybody has a few days that they want to bulk watch back to back Sunday gatherings from 2020, you'll see us grow old
Yes,
on it. Um,
less and less hair.
but
Yeah,
if you're
it isn't growing old. It's like fine wine. You're just
getting
growing
better with age.
more yummy, more delicious,
But
more.
Sandra hasn't missed one
She
in
hasn't.
6 years. We're now in our sixth year.
Yes.
Yeah, she is just delightful.
And
No.
Well, we're coming toward needing to wrap up, and I just want to give you an opportunity to what do you want people to know about what it is mediums do, how mediums can help them? I mean, is it something that people should want to do if someone dies? People should wait a bit, right, before they consult a medium.
Yes, a good medium will understand when they are confronted by somebody in deep grief. And as much as a reading can do good, the reading can do harm as well, especially if somebody's not in the right place to receive a contact, if they deliver something that's slightly wrong or said in the wrong way, and it can do as much damage. But there should be a period of time where the person needs to grieve and go through that. But when they're ready, not at the bequest of somebody else, we had this recently where somebody said, you must go and have a reading. It's down to your choice whether you want it or not. And you're the only person that will know that. But if it's done correctly with a respected medium, then it can change your world. It can give you a different insight. It's not going to cure the grief. I'll state that again. It won't cure it, but it'll help you find peace
mm,
as long as we get that evidence that we know that they've survived that physical death of the body, and we've got that credible evidence that proves they're still living, watching over you, rooting for you, and loving you, that's what a reading should do.
And I think in terms of mediumship, when we are bereaved, when somebody transitions to the spirit world, there's something opens in us. It feels like something closes, but actually there's a spiritualization happens, and that's when people may begin to see, hear, or experience things and wonder, I wonder if I could do this. And this is where, if people want to find a reputable medium who knows what they're doing and can guide them through step by step, understanding what's happening and not confusing it with all sorts of frills and fluffiness, we are very adamant that we try and demystify mediumship. It doesn't need to be confusing, it doesn't need to be complicated. It's
Right.
one of the most natural things they can possibly do. All it needs is for them to slow down enough to be able to get in touch with themselves. And that part of themselves in that slow, quiet space is the medium.
Mm.
Yeah. But it's good to wait a couple months or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait a
We
little
have,
bit.
yeah, we have quite a few people get in contact, as Phil has said, trying to see if a reading would um, cure them of the grief. And it's similar to losing weight. You just can't pop a pill and bing, you're done.
Right.
That would be nice, though.
But
Well, yeah.
what we can do is we will have a talk with somebody, a chat with somebody.
Pastoral services.
It's the pastoral service. It's the part of a medium's job that isn't often talked about. It's often brushed over and not paid attention to. Somebody in grief sometimes just needs to ask the questions
And that's one of the
about what happens.
And that's one of the reasons why we chose to become ministers as well. We took the training for the last couple of years. That wasn't on the accolade at the beginning. So there's lots more. But again, it's one of the things we realized going through the pandemic. People just needed to talk. People needed to share their grief. And sometimes we would start the reading and say, this is really not needed. It's just a talk. So having a real moral ethic compass as a medium. And one of the things we have as well is a 10-minute rule. It usually happens way before that. If something's not working, we will say it. We won't force it. This is not working today for whatever reason. We can rebook in or we can refund. It's entirely up to you. We might not even be the medium for you. So, and again, that honesty needs to be within the mediumship world. We hear so many things that are not honest that makes our toes curl, let's be honest. And we want people to know that a medium is a very good medium, is as honest as a day is long, and they will give you that credible evidence and really will transform your life, like your experience, which blew your mind that nobody else would have got. That's what should be happening.
For anybody that wants more information, if they head to mymediumship.com, at the bottom of the homepage, there are there soon will be 4 free downloads, one of which is about the journey of learning, which classes to follow. Another is about the process of grief and what we can do for somebody who is grieving, or what we can expect if we are grieving. There's a couple of others in there as well.
Yeah, it looks like a wonderful website. Absolutely. Well, my dears, I'm going to just quickly help people to sort of sum up this week and understand who our guests will be next week. And I'll be right back. But it just has been such a pure delight, I have to say, talking with you. Bless you, dear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you and lovely to see you.
So, isn't that wonderful? Once again, my
Yes.
beloved friends, we've come to the end of our time together. This has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. I'm so happy you could be with us today. Please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began, you never will end. And when you get all the implications of that fact, it changes everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guest will be Dr. R. Craig Hogan, and he'll be with us for the 51st time since Seek Reality began to do weekly podcasts 13 years ago. Craig Hogan is among the world's leading experts on death and the afterlife, how death happens, how the afterlife works, and so on. And among other amazing things, he operates Seek Reality Inc., which is the world's leading genuine source of afterlife information. Please be sure to join us next week because Craig is always such a genuine treat. And this week, we've been talking with Kerry McLeod and Phil Dykes, who are truly wonderful British mediums in the genuine mold. They collaborate with our dear and amazing friend Sandra Champlain each week on her terrific weekly Sunday gatherings, and they've been here with us for the second time. Carrie and Phil have a new film available about evidentiary mediumship, and in any event, they are perfectly delightful guests. So please be sure to join us again when they come back again, which I think is going to be soon. I just love them now. And frankly, we have no more time left, so we're just going to close saying this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy, please make the most of this coming week in our one reality together, always knowing that you are a powerful, eternal being, and you, most of all, in this entire universe, you in particular are infinitely, eternally, perfectly, and forever loved.